Segon Zegwego. Welcome to Onkwariwashona. Thanks for tuning in for the latest updates and information from the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe's divisions and programs. I'm your host, Brendan White. Joining me today is Tony David, Water Resources Manager for the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe's Environment Division, to talk about an upcoming project that will be taking place this summer, the Hogansburg Dam Removal Project. Now, Tony, what exactly does the removal project entail? What has gotten us to this point?
Well, it's taken about 6 years to get to this point where we are right now, beginning with negotiation with the current dam owners, to dealing with the state and federal regulators, and working with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We got to a point where we looked at all the studies and the feasibility, the engineering studies, and all the environmental studies, and got us to a place where we were comfortable with moving ahead with the actual removal of the dam. And most importantly, we're looking at restoring up to 270 river and stream miles of migratory fish habitat. So all of the migratory fish that come up from the St. Lawrence River, which are currently blocked by the dam right now, will have basically unfettered access to all of the habitat that exists up above the dam.
And how does this support previous efforts or ongoing efforts of the Environment Division? I understand there was some restocking that took place earlier this spring.
That's right. We've been working with our state and federal partners on restoration activities, including stocking of fish, specifically lake sturgeon, which is a state-listed species. We've been working with them to look at the quality of the habitat and its potential use for lake sturgeon up above the dam. So that's a project that's been going on for almost 20 years. And another project with the U.S. Geological Survey, Tunison Laboratory of Aquatic Science, has been looking at the reintroduction of Atlantic salmon to the headwaters of the St. Regis River. So again, their access would always be blocked by this dam, but with its removal, we're looking at bringing that project into the next phase, where the smaller fish that are released in the headwaters of the St. Regis can go out to the St. Lawrence till they become adults, and then have the urge to return to the St. Regis River to spawn.
There has been several public meetings held already, and some of the questions that have been asked is, what is so different about this dam removal project compared to what we've seen a few years ago in Fort Covington?
Well, the St. Regis River is a much bigger river system. It's an 852 square mile watershed. Similar to the salmon, they both originate in the northern part of the Adirondacks, but the sheer scale and flow and capability to transport sediments is much greater for the St. Regis. We've also looked at extensive studies for sediment quality and sediment volume within the project area. In Fort Covington, they had to deal with a massive volume of sediments. The experts estimate 60,000 to 80,000 cubic yards of sediment were actually contained within the impoundment. Here we're looking at upwards of 17,000 cubic yards, which is far less on a much bigger river system. So our sediment management plan will take 3 steps. First, we'll dredge and remove and dispose some of the sediment that's contained behind the dam itself. The next step would be to stabilize and hold in place the sediments that are in the impoundment along the banks. And then the final part will be to release some of the sediments just so they can be naturally reincorporated into the habitats below. And it's an important part to acknowledge the replenishment of downstream habitats that need sediment to be to basically renew themselves. So again, it's enhancing natural cycles.
Replenishing downstream sediments. Will we also see a change in the water level below the dam?
No, we're not anticipating that at all, because just below the spillway here, right where you see the end of the rippling water, that's really the backwater effect or the ponding effect from the hydropower activities on the St. Lawrence River. So we're not going to see any change in water levels because those water levels are really controlled by Hydro-Quebec.
Now, last fall there was a drawdown that took place. Is that an indication of what's to come in the future?
Yeah, it gave us a good preview of what extremely low water levels are going to look like post-removal. We opened up some of the stop log gates, which are the section closest to the powerhouse, we were able to remove gates and draw the water down 5 feet, and that was to the elevation of the bridge piers of the State Route 37 bridge. So below that, we wouldn't really see any additional drawdown. So it gave us a great preview into what very low summer water levels will be like. But the ordinary high water mark, or the typical water level that you see throughout the year, is going to remain very close to what we see now. And really, the more you go upstream, the less it'll be noticeable.
Now, you're trying to restore the river to its natural state. What is being done with the wildlife and native plant species? Are those being retransplanted?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, once we remove the dam, we'll have exposed banks that'll be overrun by invasive species. So we have an invasive species management plan. So plants like Japanese knotweed, or purple loosestrife, or parsnip, those kinds of plants could move in very quickly and take advantage of the bare banks. So we want to try and control their spread. And then we also want to incorporate a mix of native species to revegetate the banks. And we want to choose the right plants that'll actually provide some kind of habitat function, not just to green the banks, but to actually provide some kind of serve as what we call riparian habitat, or river edge habitat, and that includes plants and trees and shrubs.
Now, is there an opportunity for community members to become involved?
Yes, absolutely. We'll hold additional public meetings to present information if people have questions, but we're looking for volunteers who want to be a part of the project. The transporting of stranded organisms, for example, if fish become stranded in some of the areas, we might have organized crews to go out and actually walk the shorelines and transport organisms. Also, freshwater mussels. We're going to draw down the impoundment gradually. Hopefully that should give most of those organisms a chance to relocate, but the ones that can't make it around obstructions, we just want to help them along so that they're not impacted. So those will be some opportunities for the public to help out.
Now, will there be any local contracting?
Absolutely. Part of the contracting process, it includes a 40% hire of local contractors of Mohawk Preference supplies in this project. So, we've contracted with a large company that has the capability of administrating a project of this size. A lot of the job is going to be subbed out to our local contractors. So it takes us full circle with the Mohawks who helped build the dam back in 1929, the Mohawks who have repaired the dam over the years, and the Mohawks who will remove the dam and restore it back to its natural condition.
Now, earlier you mentioned that it's going to be going through stages. What's the timeline? When does it all begin?
Well, the drawdown of the impoundment is scheduled to begin late June, and the heavy equipment will begin mobilizing staging areas on both sides of the river. Heavy equipment will be in the water around July 15th, and they'll basically work for about 100 days deconstructing the spillway and the stop log gates. The powerhouse itself is going to remain for future use by the tribe, and so we've been working with economic development to develop the future use of the plant and the project area.
Now, is there a place where people can go to get more information, a website?
You can start with the tribe's main website, and also at the Environment Division's website. There's links to there where we have more specific information. There's also a more in-depth timeline, construction timeline, that all can be found on the Environment Division's website.
Excellent. Will there be any more public meetings?
Yeah, we're anticipating more public meetings as we need. They're not currently scheduled right now, but I'm sure as we get going, we'll have more.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Tony. And thank you once again. Again, we were here with Tony David, Water Resources Manager for the St. Regis Mohawk Tribes Environment Division, to share with us information about the upcoming Hogansburg Dam Removal project. Once more, I'm your host, Brendan White. Onkwariwashona.